What is up, Eggman fans? Simon here. Welcome to HannaTalk. We are already now in February of 2023. Hope you all are having a fantastic year at this point. And today I am welcoming back a very special guest. Now, he is a voice actor who is best known to fans as the voice of Dr. Eggman from Sonic the Hedgehog, but he's also been best known in shows such as Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, which a few years back has celebrated its 25th anniversary, Ultimate Muscle, Higurashi, Attack on Titan, and so much more, and is currently starring in One Piece and The Vampire Dies in No Time. Please welcome back to HannaTalk, the incredible Mike Pollock.
Well, thank you so much. It's great to be back. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute honor to have you back, Mike. How are you?
Well, right now a little cold right here in the Northeast. Temperature's well below freezing. Apart from that, fantastic.
That's absolutely fantastic. Now, obviously talking about what's been happening with the last few years. Now, obviously during that time, with what's been happening with the pandemic and everything and the lockdowns, how have you been keeping things up, especially on the acting side of things?
The pandemic was a great opportunity to make some upgrades to the home studio so that more real-life studios would want to work with me remotely, and they have. So I've not been in a studio more than maybe 5 or 6 times in the last 3 years, but I have worked consistently since then. So
Wow.
that's been a wonderful thing.
That's absolutely fantastic. And that's definitely true with a lot of the voice actors, especially the ones that I've interviewed over the last few years, how a lot of them had their own home studios before the pandemic even it came into existence at that time. But it was also a really good time because during that time of the pandemic, even though a lot of industries had shut down at that point or were forced to put to a halt, animation and voice acting was really the one that kept going throughout all that time, which I thought was amazing.
That's true. We also attracted lots of people who hadn't done it before, making things extra crowded and competitive. But that's the nature of the business. I have no problem with that.
Absolutely, but that's absolutely fantastic. Now, getting into a couple of acting questions here. Now, obviously, having done voice acting for a very long time, especially within the world of anime, now, typically with a lot of anime properties is that they're adapted directly from manga, which you've started a few of them yourself. Have you ever read the manga for any particular work project that you've worked on?
Not in great detail. When I first started in stuff and things like Ultimate Muscle was a thing, we'd stop at a bookstore and I'd see them and I'd glance at them. But not to worry because my son is keeping up their tradition. He is keeping the Japanese manga and toy industry alive. So you're welcome, Japan. Um, so there's that.
But no, that's absolutely fantastic, and that's definitely true in that fact. In that there are several voice actors that go into a couple of examples here, is with Aaron Roberts and Amberly Connors, who are voice actors in their own right, who are huge fans of a lot of these properties. And I interviewed them a few years back, where they talked about being such huge fans of these properties that they actually read the manga for particular projects that they've worked on to have an idea for where the story was going, as well as give off like really strong performances in their work, which I think is a great benefit to have. But on the other side of that, you've also got voice actors like Joshua Seth, who's well known from the Digimon universe, where I interviewed him a while back, and he talked about how he said he tries not to read or plan ahead. He wants to go in completely surprised.
Fiction relies on the element of surprise, so at the very least, the folks watching should be surprised. But some actors, based on their mode of performance, some prefer to be surprised just in general, and some are really good at acting surprise to keep it fresh. So yeah, I have my my grubby little fingers in so many things that to try and keep detailed track of all of them would be mind-bogglingly confusing. So as long as the script is legible by the time I get there, I will make it sound like I will read aloud without sounding like I'm reading aloud. That's the skill we provide.
That's fantastic, and that's definitely true. Which goes into the next point here, which is when you're in any particular project that you worked on or you currently work on, where your character is a very prominent character or is featured in a really big story arc, do you have an idea for where your character is going in terms of the story, or is everything recorded out of context?
If it's a dub, it's out of context just by the nature of how dubs are done. Since we're all recording separately and we're is to just gather all our individual lines up together, and we go from one line to the next line to the next line without a lot of context in between. The director will usually tell us, here's what's going on in this scene, and if the previous actors who have already recorded are available for playback, you'll hear the performance you're playing against, but lots of times you don't. So you kind of have to get an idea of what the script says and think in your head, well, what might that sound like that I'd be responding to? And I have to respond accordingly. And the director is ultimately responsible for making sure that it sounds natural and all at once when it wasn't natural and all at once.
That's fantastic, and that's definitely true in that sense. So that's just absolutely fantastic. Now, going into Sonic the Hedgehog, I just want to start off by saying a huge congratulations on Sonic Frontiers. It was amazing, and you did a fantastic job, as well as all the other actors in the game itself. It was amazing.
Thank you very much. That was tons of fun.
Absolutely. What was it like to be part of Sonic Frontiers, having been part of the Sonic franchise for such a long time?
It's always a joy when an email comes to say, hey, we've got more stuff to record. Well, great. I love working. So it's nice that they keep remembering and thinking to invite me to things. And so we recorded the Frontiers game because the pandemic probably contributed a lot to the duration of production. It started before the pandemic, and I recorded the first little bit in the studio, and then the pandemic hit, and then we regrouped, and the next 2 or 3 sessions completed from our home studios. So whatever adjustments the programming development team had to make that happen, lots of people seemed happy with the result. So I'm glad it all worked out.
Absolutely, and it definitely worked out for the best, because I only had the chance to play a little bit of the game myself, but also watched through a lot of gameplay and the cutscenes in particular, and it was absolutely fantastic, especially from a story perspective. How it really kind of was a way to bring the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise sort of in a way back to its roots, in a way, after having gone through such iterations over the last few years. And I think a lot of that had contributed to the live action movies we've had over the last few years, sort of bringing things back to basics in a way, but at the same time, sort of pushing the franchise in a way we've never seen before.
Yep, there's a lot of very talented minds, differently talented than I am, who are coming up with these ideas and turning them into reality. So I am in awe of the words they create and the words that I am occasionally honored to get to say.
Absolutely, and that's fantastic. Now, of course, the people that were in charge of Sonic Frontiers have talked about what they want to see with regards to the sequel as well as future games as well. But what would you personally want to explore in the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise going forward?
Well, I would be biased, having my own personal bias. I'd like to have more of me in it. Eggman could get his own thing, his own spin-off series or game or something. That'd be swell. But one of the wonderful things about Frontiers was the change in performance style and the more serious and downplayed thing, which not completely well received. Obviously, people have their preferences, but it's always nice to be able to explore a new and different challenge. So if the director says, okay, we're not going to be all so crazy and we're going to be a little more grounded in this performance, great, let me at it. And they seem to like what I did.
That's fantastic. That's absolutely wonderful. And that's definitely true. From what I gathered from the Sonic Frontiers game is that it was a much more serious and slightly more grounded performance in this very fantastical world that was very unlike what we've seen before in the Sonic franchise, as well as going back to the idea of what the Sonic the Hedgehog game started out being like, which was absolutely fantastic. And it was amazing. Now,
yeah, not being a gamer, I will have to allow the rest of the world to enjoy it on my behalf. The bits and pieces that I've seen, I was impressed. If I do say so myself.
No, that's absolutely fantastic. Now, we've also had the Sonic the Hedgehog films, with the sequel occurring last year, at the same time that Sonic Frontiers was about to come out at that time, as well as we also had, as part of the Pokemon universe, Detective Pikachu a few years back. Did you ever get the chance to see any of the films yourself?
The thing about me is I tend to prefer to watch things that I'm in, and I'm not in those.
Right. Well, what's been your opinion when the announcement came for all these different projects? What's been your opinion on video game properties, as well as that anime properties being adapted for film and television, particularly in the live action universe?
Well, one thing that brands like to do is extend their brands. That's why Oreos comes in more than one flavor now. So it's a great business decision to get your product into as many hands and or mouths and or eyes and or however your product is consumed, get it into as many places as possible. And one of the things about being the guy that participates in some of them, I don't get to participate in all the things, but the things that that exist, they should be helpful and they should be successful, whether or not I'm there.
Right. That's fantastic though. That is absolutely fantastic. Now, my next question here, not just to you, Mike, but also to the listeners out there, let me know in the comments below, what would you personally want to see in the live action universe? And leave a like or a comment if you really want to see Mike Pollock make a Stan Lee cameo in the live action universe, because that would just be so amazing.
I'll say.
Absolutely, because that would just be fantastic. If they could manage to get Colleen O'Shaughnessy to come back as Tails for the first movie, as well as predominantly for the second film, then anything is possible at this point.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Now,
Fingers crossed.
absolutely, because that would just be so fantastic. Especially since we're getting the Knuckles spin-off series with Idris Elba coming out this year, and Sonic the Hedgehog 3 coming out next year as well. So there is a very big chance they'll get in contact with you, because that would just be so fantastic.
As I love to say, who knows what the future holds?
Exactly, absolutely. Now, of course, with all the different adaptations of games and properties that we've had over the last few years, and especially coming out of this year alone, is there any particular gaming property that you've worked on that you would want to see adapted for film and TV?
Well, let's see. If you count Ultimate Muscle, which started as manga and anime, and then was briefly a game, that'd be a great film. That would hit lots of people right in the nostalgia, right in the feels. Um, Trying to think if anything else would lend itself to a game from game to film. The weird little circus star game I was in, probably not. Don't go out of your way to find it. I wouldn't recommend it. But yeah, Ultimate Muscle is a film. That'd be an awesome thing.
I could definitely see Ultimate Muscle happening as a live-action film or TV show, especially because of the whole wrestling idea and genre within that series. It would definitely lend itself really, really well to a film or TV series as a live-action property. That would be pretty amazing to see.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, going across into another big franchise you've been part of is the Pokemon franchise, with the franchise celebrating 25 years a couple of years back. How did it feel to celebrate such an incredible milestone as that?
The fact that things live on, also mind-boggling. There are no guarantees in this business, so you never know what's gonna last beyond one airing. And Pokemon has dragged on is the wrong way to put it. Has lived on for many years, and I'm delighted that it's been so successful, and I get to be a part of it every now and then.
That's fantastic, and that's definitely true. Now, going across into another part of Pokemon is the final season. This year will be the final season of Pokemon focusing on Ash. What was your reaction to the series being the last for Ash Ketchum?
Well, all good things must come to an end, and unfortunately, the end of the line for Ash. But he had a good run, and he was well loved. He's not quite deceased yet, but he was definitely well loved along the journey, and stay tuned to see how it all wraps up for him.
Absolutely, absolutely. That would definitely be fantastic. And obviously, because of now the final season focusing on Ash, but also because of where the Pokemon franchise is starting to go, what would you personally want to explore in the world of Pokemon going forward?
Whenever Pokemon calls, there's always some weird, crazy old man or gym leader or something they want me to play. So I love awaiting the next surprise. I was the narrator for a while. Maybe the narrator can come back as me for a spell. Who knows?
Absolutely, that would be fantastic, especially because the final season is really focusing a lot on sort of bringing things back around full circle, and that's sort of in a way going back to the very first season of the series. So there is a very good chance that if they could get you to come back as the narrator for that whole final season, that would be amazing.
We'll see how that shakes out.
Absolutely, because that would be fantastic. Now, now going across into another series that has been going for such a long time, you stepped into the world of One Piece. What was it like stepping into a series like One Piece that has gone for such a really long time?
When it was a younger series and it was first on American TV on the Fox Box and Porky's TV, I got to do the promos. So I would be the guy that the American audience would hear saying, "Tonight on an all new One Piece." But I would never got to be in the actual program until recent years when the latest guys in charge of it said, "Come here, come here." So it was nice to be able to be on both sides of the performing spectrum for it.
Absolutely, and that because that's definitely fantastic, and especially now because the series has gone for such a long time, which I think is just about to hit just under 25 years, which is such an incredible milestone to hit, and it's still going incredibly strong to this day forward.
Absolutely, it's definitely got a very strong and loyal fan base.
That is definitely true, and it's still going incredibly strong to this day forward, where the creator himself has been speaking very much about how he wants the series to end, which sounds like the ending of the series, based on reports that have been going about, is potentially happening by this year. But he's said multiple times in the past, oh, we're going to end it by this year, we're going to end it in 3 or 4 years' time. But it's just absolutely fantastic. It's been going this strong, and here's to hoping the ending is going to be just as epic as what the creator's been talking about.
We can only hope.
Absolutely. Now, going into another anime series that has also been really popular has been Attack on Titan, particularly in the final season with part 3 coming out this year. What was it like to step into the world of Attack on Titan, especially now into the final season of the series?
Always nice to be invited into something new, and even if it's going to be a short-lived visit because it's the final season. Great fun to go into a room and play, as I so often do.
That's absolutely fantastic. Now, coming to across a couple of the other projects you've worked on is at the same time as One Piece, you also start in a series called The Vampire Dies in No Time. What was it like working on that series?
Oh, that was fun. Nice, wacky characters. Getting to do a little Bela Lugosi-inspired vampire voice, it was fun. It was camp. It was wacky. It was just a joy to record. A lot of laughs during our recording session.
That's absolutely fantastic, and it definitely sounds like it as well. Now, another long-running series you've also been part of is the Higurashi series. What was it like working on that particular franchise?
Oh, it was a delightful challenge. There was some fun and intense moments, but as always when I'm recording, I'm having fun in the outtakes that you can't hear. So lots of memorable outtakes that are unfortunately probably too filthy to share in a family program.
Unless they of course decide to release it on DVD or just up on YouTube somewhere for the world to see, because there have been moments in anime where they've recorded outtakes and bloopers and they've uploaded it onto YouTube like it's no big deal. So
Right?
that would be pretty funny to see.
We'll have to wait and see, and I'll be surprised.
Absolutely. Now looking back across your entire career and everything, where do you hope to see yourself with regards to acting and entertainment in the long run going forward?
Well, as long as people are willing to hire me, I would love to keep working. I know that there are plenty of actors who work well into their dotage, and I'd love to be one of them. So as long as the equipment is still working, the voice is still functional, and I can still see enough well enough to read, I'd love to keep doing this for as long as anyone will have me.
Absolutely, that would be fantastic. Now, one question here is, and this is going to be a bit of a head scratcher on this one. what two projects have you worked on would you want to see a crossover between, story-wise and character-wise?
Well, the lawyers would have a field day trying to negotiate the rights to such a thing. But let's see, probably something mingling with Sonic. And let's see what could mingle with Sonic. Viva Pinata, which is now lost pretty much to the annals of history, but playing Langston Licketoad in Viva Pinata was very memorable. So Sonic meets Viva Pinata could be something spectacular. That could probably never happen.
Unless, of course, someone decided to do a bit of a fan video on just those two characters crossing over. But that would be pretty epic, though, especially since we've had Sonic the Hedgehog crossing over into a whole bunch of franchises, from Super Mario right into the Super Smash Bros. Universe. But if they could do that, I think anything would be possible.
We can only hope.
Absolutely. Now, of course, looking back at your entire career as well, what other character or series have you ever wanted to play or ever wished that you played?
I try not to think that sort of thing because gigs don't grow on trees. It's very much luck of the draw and hope they like my audition. So rather than wish for something that may never be attainable, I like to be surprised. I just auditioned for a bunch of stuff as recently as this morning, and I will find out, I hope, in the next few days that I've booked one of them. But if not, someone else will be very happy having booked those very auditions.
That is true, but no, that's absolutely fantastic. Now, what has been, and here's a bit of a head scratcher on this one here. What is your view on where the voice acting and the animation industry stands within the entertainment industry?
Well, to some degree, it's always been the proverbial bastard stepchild, because a lot of people see greater fame and fortune in on-camera and even on-stage, but I always have a soft spot in my heart for the efficiency of voiceover. I can walk into a studio without hair, makeup, wardrobe, line memorization, knowing where to stand on a stage, and I can bang out a delightfully intense dramatic performance in a matter of half an hour to an hour, and enjoy it all the way to the bank, which is a spectacular thing that the on-camera and on-stage people can't. However, at the same time, technology is threatening us with the threat of artificial intelligence. Lots of people have been sampling people's voices without permission and turning them into AI models. And that creates danger for our business, not only because it ends up making it sound like we've said things that we would never say without our permission, and we're not getting compensated for the sound of our voice, which is kind of how our business works and how we get food. So it's a tough time, but we'll see how we can shake things out.
That's definitely true. As well as in the fact, where with a lot of animated properties, especially really big budget animated works, in the level of Illumination and obviously Pixar and all those types of properties, is that most of the films and projects that come out of those companies would usually cast really big name actors instead of being able to cast the voice actors that do this stuff on a regular basis. Even though that started to change a little bit, because thanks to Sonic the Hedgehog 2, with Colin O'Shaughnessy coming back as Tails, I definitely feel like there's a very strong chance, for a lot of voice actors that are part of the industry in and of itself, to be able to get to work on these really big projects one day, and very regularly.
That would be a wonderful thing. Big names get butts in seats, I get that, but the smaller names have their own little passion, and we'd love to have the joy of performing, if only they'd let us.
Absolutely, and I will say this straight off the bat, having gone to comic conventions for so long, and especially having done this channel for the last 8 years of my life, I will say this straight off the bat. If anyone was to ever ask me, why do you still go to comic conventions, I will say this, and I'm going to say this till the day I die, I go for the voice actors. They're my rock stars right there.
Thank you so much. We are honored on behalf of all of us.
Thank you very much for that. Now, if you could change one thing about the entertainment industry, what would that be?
There is a vast divide between the union and non-union worlds, and people are union and non-union for a variety of reasons. But while the world of union is full of protections for actors and industry standard rates, the non-union world, not so much. So either get some parity between union and non-union quality of life, or turn everything that's non-union into union, flip it union, and everybody wins.
That's definitely true, because there was obviously that one post that came out just, I think it was around a few months back, or even just around last year, where it was the actor from Mob Psycho 100, Carl McCarley. The main actor from Mob Psycho 100 was talking about how he had stepped away from the series because of what was happening with the union at that time, which led to him getting recast for season 3. And I remembered him posting a video up about that. And I was like, wow, that's insane.
There's a lot of dirty laundry that we don't want to necessarily have to wear in public, but yeah, sometimes it sees the light of day. It is not one world in the entertainment industry.
Absolutely. But here's to hoping that one day that's going to change for the better, and a lot of that will hopefully get fixed.
We're working on it.
Absolutely. Now, without going into any spoilers, what's next for Mike Pollock for the fans to know about?
Well, let's see. I had recently a couple of big game releases, and I expect there will be a few more of those in the future. But there's a bunch of kid shows that are targeted towards the maybe preschool or early elementary school age. There's fun little, not going to be as high profile as Sonic, but they are charming in their own way, and we're hard at work on a bunch of them. So when those arise, I hope that even folks outside the target demographic will be willing to at least check out a few minutes to see if they like it.
Fantastic. Now, that sounds absolutely wonderful. And final question, what do you think Eggman would say if he was in Australia?
G'day, mate. Let's throw some shrimp on the barbie. Apologies to all those I've offended.
No.
Without question, because I offended myself. But thank you.
No, that's absolutely fantastic. That's wonderful. That is absolutely fantastic. Mike Pollock, thank you so much. It's been an absolute honor to have you back.
Great to be here. Thanks for rolling out the red carpet a second time.
That's absolutely no problem at all. And is there anything you would like to say to the fans out there in Australia and in the world?
Sure. Follow me on social media for as long as, while Twitter is still a thing, may not be by the time this airs, you never know. But I'm It's a Mike on Twitter. I'm itsamike.com. I'm It's a Mike on Facebook. I'm Mike.Pollock on Instagram for whatever that's worth. But follow me and see all the latest announcements. Twitter seems to be leading the pack for as long as it exists. So basically, if you're on Twitter, I'll talk about what I'm doing there.
No, that's absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's no problem at all. Well, guys, if you'd like to find out more about Mike Pollock, you can check out the links, which I'll put to you in the description below when this interview is officially up and running. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click that bell, check out the links below, and don't forget to also comment below for any requests or suggestions you want me to do on HannaTalk, whether Facebook or YouTube. Thank you all so much for listening. This is Simon and Mike Pollock signing off. Bye for now.